Hello and welcome to Deft and Dorky. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Hello. Good to see
Hello.
you.
Hello. Well, hello there.
Uh,
Uh,
how's it going?
that's good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Today we are talking about we're gonna do some subclass dives, but well, we're gonna do it a little different than maybe most people do it. We are gonna talk about how if they're mechanically strong or not, but what I really want to talk about is in what instance would RPing it be fun, or how would be the most fun way to role play some of these subclasses. We're going to start with Ranger today, so
Yes.
let's dive in. Bam, I
Let's
already
do
got
it.
it pulled up. So we'll start off with Beastmaster because that's the first one alphabetically.
Yes.
So this one, let's say Beastmaster archetype embodies a friendship between the civilized races and the beasts of the wild. United in focus, Beast and Ranger fight the monsters that threaten civilization and the wilderness alike. So at third level, you get Ranger's Companion. You gain a Beast Companion that accompanies you on your adventures and is trained to fight alongside you. Choose a beast that is no larger than medium and that has a challenge rating of 1/4 or lower. Add your proficiency bonus to the beast's AC, attack rolls, and damage rolls, as well as any saving throws and skills it is proficient in. Its hit point maximum equals the hit point number in its stat block, or 4 times your ranger level, whichever is higher. Like any creature, it can spend hit dice during a short rest to regain hit points. The beast obeys your commands as best it can. It takes its turn on your initiative. On your turn, you can verbally command the beast to where to move, no action required by you. You can use your action to verbally command it to take the attack, dash, disengage, or help action. If you don't issue a command, the beast takes the dodge action. Once you have the extra attack feature, you can make one weapon attack yourself when you command the beast to take the attack action. If you are incapacitated or absent, the beast acts on its own, focusing on protecting you and itself. The beast never requires your command to use its reaction, such as when making an opportunity attack. While traveling through favored terrain with only the beast, you can move stealthily at a normal pace. If the beast dies, you can obtain a new companion by spending 8 hours magically bonding with a beast that isn't hostile to you and that meets the requirements. I also want to read through the Tosh's changes because I feel like some of them are a
good
lot
idea.
better.
Yeah.
So, as an optional thing in the Tosh's Cauldron of Everything, you can also use the Primal Companion in this way, which is you magically summon a primal beast which draws strength from your bond with nature. The beast is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. Choose its stat block, and there's 3 stat blocks you can choose from, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. You also determine the kind of animal the beast is, choosing a kind appropriate for the stat block, so you get to skin it however you want, basically. Whatever kind you choose, the beast bears primal markings indicating its mystical origin. In combat, the beast acts during your turn. It can move and use its reactions on its own, but the only action it takes is the dodge action unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be in its own stat block or some other action. You can also sacrifice one of your attacks when you take the attack action to command the beast to take the attack action. If you are incapacitated, the beast can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. If the beast has died within the last hour, you can use your action to touch it and expend a spell slot of first level or higher. The beast returns to life after 1 minute with all of its hit points restored. When you finish a long rest, you can summon a different primal beast. The new beast appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you. You choose its stat block and appearance. If you already have a beast from this feature, it vanishes when the new beast appears. It also vanishes if you die. And you can see that like the stat blocks here are basically they're just tend to be a little bit better than the ones you could choose and then add your proficiency bonus to some things. As one of the big complaints of this subclass was that the beast is just completely worthless at higher levels.
Except like the player's handbook one, like you have to use your action to tell it to do something, right?
Yes, or one of your extra attacks. Yes.
Yeah, which is like I'm gonna sacrifice my attack for probably not as good of one. Like, why can't I have both? I don't know. I feel
That's one of the reasons they changed it. Like you can use it
yeah.
in the Tasha's one. You can use a bonus action to tell it to attack, which is way better.
I want a perfect marriage of the two, where it's just like I want to use my bonus action to tell specifically the gorilla or like the dire wolf that you know what I mean? Like, I hated the watering down of like you can choose 3 spirits. Like,
Yeah.
no, like I want to pick the spider because it's got this very specific quality about it. I don't know.
Yeah, the web walking and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll take a brief moment here and talk about just this 3rd level feature because it's really the crux of this subclass.
Right.
If I am making this subclass, and it's tempting because it's a really cool sound, like to RP wise, it's really cool. I would love to have like was in some way or another I was left in the woods alone, and this like wolf comes up, finds me, doesn't attack me, and actually protects me from something, and we end up like having a bond where I can I know I can communicate on some level with this beast, and throughout my adventuring career it comes with me, and it's that specific animal is important to me, not just like, oh, it died, I guess I go get a new one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I echo all of those feelings. Like this has the potential to be one of the coolest RP kind of things, and it's just like if you're gonna do this, work with your DM to like mechanically tweak it to where it's actually like if it was me, I would be like, can I just have this? But like, can we just play with the stat blocks for the animals that I want to have?
Yeah, that's how I would do it too. Because I don't like this has like such engaging like RP moments. Like, oh, your animal companion is maybe gonna die. Like that's a big deal. Whereas
very sad.
in like both of these, it sort of just describes it as like, oh, you can get a new one. We can get a new dog, but it's not Lassie.
Yeah, exactly. What? It's a dog. They're both dogs. It's fine.
Yeah, so yeah, that was definitely the way that I would want to do it. And like even with the you having to take your action to tell it how to do things, I could even play around that. Like especially for the early levels before you get that extra attack. Yeah. Like I could definitely see playing it as the beast protects me, right? I don't really know how to attack that well. Like I can shoot an arrow okay, but not amazing. The animal is what keeps things away from me. And eventually once I like, I've been practicing with this, bow and arrow for quite a while now. And now I've got it to where I can make an attack and the animal can attack too.
Right.
Is how I would do it. So like I could even get by with that for RP, but it's just like so underwhelming. Like a quarter CR rating of 1/4 or lower is not very strong of an animal.
Yeah, that's a lot of thin creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no reason that you can't. I don't know. It's like work with your DM to like tweak stat blocks. Like, I want to take the CR7 creature. Okay, cool. We're gonna play it like this because that's way overpowered for where we're at. It's like, all right, awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't find a Tarask, but I did find the baby of one.
Yeah, and like looking at these like I'm fine with most of the way these stat blocks of the Tasha's ones work, because I feel like they definitely scale better.
Yeah.
Because like the armor class scales, I think a little better with your. Well, it may be a little worse depending on what animal you pick, but it scales. The hit points scale. Like the challenge rating scales.
Yeah.
It's all I don't know. I like the stat blocks. They're very nice and sort of succinct. But yeah, I would definitely try to come up with some in between the two.
Its proficiency bonus is the scaling effect,
Yeah.
or is it the level? Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
proficiency bonus is weird because it's like,
Yeah, it only goes to 5.
yeah, and like I wish that they could do, if they could somehow tie it into like the AC grows equal to, or whatever it is, like whatever the stat is, like it's equal to your level. Say level divided in half. I don't know. Like there's weirder math in this game that's harder to figure out for some of the subclasses for the other groups. Like I'm trying to think of some examples. Like the cleric and how many spells you can prepare. It's like you got some weird A math to figure out with that. It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna like make it like, yeah, let's just throw a proficiency bonus in there because it's easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah,
So,
I mean the attacks scale with your spell attack modifier, so that's
yeah.
or weapon melee weapon attack like it depending on which one you use. Well, no, it's always spell attack modifier, I guess. So that's not amazing, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I definitely want. I like these stat blocks, but I definitely want the ability to choose like any beast and have it have like that beast's things, like you were talking about spiders. I want it to have like web sense. That's the whole reason. Or if I choose like a wolf, I want it to be able to like smell things. It's like
Yeah. I don't want some like, I'm gonna flavor this random spirit stat block as a fill in the blank, like I said earlier, like a large ape, and like, oh well, it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't get more hit points or have a climbing speed that's equal to its walking speed, even though it's a freaking gorilla. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, the beasts of land does have climbing speed equal to its walking speed.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to use a new example.
Yeah, and I get like I could be swayed into using the Tasha's one, but it would definitely be a different story, right? Like, yeah, I magically am able to summon these animals that I can then use to my advantage. They don't mean very much to me. Like it's like you could RP it as like, this is my bond with the Earth Mother or whatever allows me to summon these creatures that can help me. But like, and I thank them for their assistance, but I don't have a connection with them specifically.
Yeah, it feels like what's the barbarian subclass where it's like, there's one of them that I feel like is kind of akin to that idea of like, I have this like inherent
the totem.
Yeah.
Totem warrior? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Or are you talking about well, I can look.
It's not the path of the beast where you like take on a form, but I feel like maybe it's the one of Ancestral Guardian. Yeah, you summon protectors.
Oh, okay.
Like it feels like it's got like a similar flavor. It works differently mechanically, but it's just like the idea of that ranger and the idea of this path is like, like I have such an intuitive connection with the forces of nature that I can summon this thing, and I feel like if I was playing that path of the barbarian, it would be very similar. It's like, I have such an intuitive connection with my ancestors. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, let's finish. I'll finish reading the rest of the stuff here, and then we can finish talking about this subclass. 7th level. On any of your turns, when your beast companion doesn't attack, you can use a bonus action to command the beast to take the dash, disengage, or help action. In addition, the beast's attacks now count as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks. So if you use Tasha's, I guess that's level 7 just doesn't really do anything other than their magical attacks now. Yep. Starting at 11th level, when you command your beast companion to take the attack action, the beast can make 2 attacks, or it can take the multi-attack action if it has that action. So that's fine. the thing about if you're using the original thing, like waiting till 11th level to where it can make 2 attacks, it's already so far behind.
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's a drop in the bucket, I guess. And then beginning at 15th level, when you cast a spell targeting yourself, you can also affect your beast companion with the spell if the beast is within 30 feet of you. That's kind of cool. Like, that could be cool. It's not amazing mechanically. But yeah, I could see how RPing that could be cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember what all spells rangers get to like buff themselves, but if you were to somehow finagle it where you got haste and you could haste yourself and your beast or something similar to that, that would be pretty rad. Especially if you're using a combination where you can use a bonus action to tell it to attack. That would be tops. And I feel like appropriately strong for a 15th level.
I think, yeah, and I'm fine with the 11th and I'm fine with the 15th, because if you do 11th level, like, by that point, how many attacks do you have?
Just 2. I think rangers only get 2 ever.
Do they only get 2? They only get,
They
get extra attack. Yeah, it looks like they only get extra attack. Okay, so, I mean, like, you get to roll 4 dice on that, which is not bad.
Yeah. It's just
so I don't mind that one.
With the vanilla rules, though, it's like your attacks of a quarter CR monster are not going to be doing that much.
Yeah, you got to change that crap. Absolutely. And then sure spells isn't bad. I don't mind that. The 7th level thing, you got to talk to your DM, fix that crap. That's that's so bad. I mean, I guess like the tack on of like magical is fine, but anyway,
yeah,
that's Beastmaster.
Yep, that's Beastmaster. Moving on to Drake Warden, which I feel like is like.
Do we want to grade these?
Beastmaster plus. Sure, you can grade it. What do you think? For mechanically, if you can find a good spot with your DM, I think that mechanically, it is not the strongest, but it's just like a solid B minus.
Yeah, rules is written.
It's
Player's
like
handbook.
C to D. F. Wow.
It's so bad.
It is bad. It is bad.
Rules of written. I don't know all the subclasses. I'm so bad. This is the worst one that I could think of. Rules of written. The Tasha's makes it pretty okay. So
yeah,
I think we should grade these things rules of written, because like if you work with your DM, like that gives it bonus points.
Yeah. I'll write these things down if we're going to grade them. I think that as for mechanically, what is this Beastmaster? Mechanically, if we're going rules as written, I would give it
with Tasha stuff.
Okay, if it's with Tasha's, I give it a.
No.
If it's with Tasha's, I give it like a C plus. If you're gonna be able to combine it, I think it bumps it up to a B minus.
Yeah. I'll say that too. I would say if you're doing rules of written and you're combining them, I'll give it a B, or I'll give it a B.
Okay.
Because like you are like giving somebody the chance to, especially at early levels, roll multiple dice.
Yeah.
In a single turn. So that's pretty freaking good. It really falls off though. 7th level feels real bad.
Yeah. He started a lot stronger.
We're also doing an RP grade, right?
Yeah, so RP grade, I think that this is amazing. This is like the coolest, right? Like, yes, I get to be friends with an animal that like we can fight together and like communicate. It's really good.
Yeah. These are also super subjective because RP is super subjective.
Yeah.
But I would agree. This is probably.
Yeah. So
I think the possibilities. Yeah.
Maybe an A plus. It's maybe. Well, we'll see. As we go through here, it's going to end up maybe changing my opinions, but because comparison and whatnot.
For sure.
All right, Drake Warden. 3rd level. Okay, so you get. Let's read the description here. Your connection to the natural world takes the form of a draconic spirit, which can manifest in physical form as a drake. As your powers grow, your Drake grows as well, blossoming from a small four-legged companion to a majestic winged creature large and strong enough for you to ride. Along the way, you gain an increasing share of awe-inspiring power of dragons. Consider the source of the draconic spirit you have bonded with. The Drake origin table offers examples below. So you can look at these, and basically they're just flavor ways that you've found your dragon spirit.
Yeah.
At third level, the bond you share with your Drake creates a connection to dragonkind, granting you understanding and empowering your presence. You gain the following benefits. You get Thaumaturgy as a cantrip, which is a ranger spell for you. You learn to speak, read, and write Draconic or one other language of your choice, presumably if you already know Draconic. If you don't,
yeah, could you imagine taking this?
Yeah. And you get your Drake Companion. As an action, you can magically summon the Drake Companion that is bound to you. It appears in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. The Drake is friendly to you and your companions, and it obeys your commands. See its game statistics in the accompanying Drake Companion stat block, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. Whenever you summon the Drake, choose a damage type listed in its Draconic Essence trait. You can determine the cosmetic characteristics of the Drake, such as its color, its scale, texture, or any visible effect of its Draconic Essence. Your choice has no effect on its game statistics. That seems like a super weird, blatant thing to say. Like, of course you can. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
In combat, the Drake shares your initiative count and takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is a dodge action unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be one in its stat block or some other action. If you are incapacitated, it does its own. You can do whatever, and not just dodge. The Drake remains until it is reduced to 0 hit points, until you use this feature to summon the Drake again, or until you die. Anything the Drake was wearing or carrying is left behind when the Drake vanishes. Once you summon the Drake, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of first level or higher to summon it. So the stat block it's pretty similar. Like, this whole thing is pretty similar to Tasha's version of Beastmaster mechanically. It's a little bit different because it gets it like eventually we'll be able to fly and stuff, which we'll get to. But also, like, you get damage. The type of damage thing you choose when you summon it determines the Drake's damage immunity and the damage of its infused strikes trait, which is within 30 feet. It can hit a weapon attack. It infuses it with its essence, causing the attack to take an extra d6 of the type determined by its thing. So that's...
You can do that to anybody.
When another creature within 30 feet of the Drake that it can see hits a target with a weapon strike, that's as a reaction. Okay, sorry. As a reaction, if something else hits it within 30 feet, the Drake can add another d6.
That's interesting. I would have thought that it would have been just like, no, just you. Like, you can use your Drake on your barbarians. Whatever. Yeah. Like, it's kind of interesting. Like, oh, my paladin just crit. I'm going to use this on his strike.
Yeah, that is very weird. I don't know.
I'm going to get an extra d6.
I guess that would be up to your DM on whether or not you would count crit damage from a reaction of an infused strike. That's very...
I would.
Yeah, I probably would too, but that's very sus.
That's because we're not cowards. We're fine with letting them roll.
Okay, so 7th level. Funny. Oh, go ahead.
When did this come out? I had two questions about this. Like, this came with...
the Dragon book.
Yeah.
It was fairly recent, like within the last year or two.
Okay, that makes more sense, because it's so funny. It's like, well, they learned the lessons from Beastmaster. So.
Yeah, it's very...
And the other thing, too...
Very similar.
Do you know the dragon stat blocks well enough to say, like, if the type of color they are influence their stat block for the most part? Like, I wonder if...
Their color influences what damages they deal with their breath weapons and what damages they are either immune or resistant to.
Oh. It's interesting. They very specifically say your choice has no effect on its game statistics.
Yeah, I feel like that is some of the new D&D books have been very Uh, it almost has like a backlash to the way they sort of painted a lot of races to be very one way, as opposed to letting an individual decide their own fate.
Yeah.
Like they, big like thing was with like the Drow, right? Because Drow are almost always in canonically in their fiction like evil and stuff. And eventually, when these newer books came out, they're like, well, you could be whatever. And so I feel like they're making it extra clear in their new books that like appearance doesn't matter, and it's like great, but the community's already fixed it. You don't got to say it out loud.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, there's part of me that's just like, no, it would be cool if like I chose black because they're tankier, or I chose blue because they're faster. But then I guess that leads to issues with like one type of dragon being more potentially overpowered than the others.
Yeah, and that's dependent on your table too, right? If you have someone who's all in on min-max, then yeah, that's going to happen. But it just depends on what kind of game you want to play. If you want to play that way, that's fine, as long as you're having, as long as everyone's happy with it. But yeah, it's definitely the appearance of dragons in their stat blocks does have an effect on their damage types and stuff. So,
sorry. 7th level.
7th level, the bond you share with your Drake intensifies, protecting you and stoking the Drake's fury. When you summon your Drake, it grows wings on its back and gains a flying speed equal to its walking speed. In addition, while your Drake is summoned, you and your Drake gain the following benefits. The Drake mount. The Drake grows to medium size, reflecting your special bond. You can use the Drake as a mount if your size is medium or smaller. While you are riding the Drake, it can't use the flying speed of this creature. So if you get on, it can't fly.
Makes sense.
Magic Fang. The Drake's bite attack deals an extra d6 of the damage type from the essence, so it gets a damage buff. And you gain resistance of the damage type chosen for the draconic essence. So that's cool. Great.
That's cool. So everyone's choosing red.
Yep, fire's always no, they're not. They're choosing whatever color they want, and then they're saying fire.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to pick a black dragon because that color is the coolest, but it's also... Okay, anyway, sorry. 11th level.
11th level. As an action, you can exhale a 30-foot cone of... You get dragon breath, essentially. You can choose the damage type. Your choice doesn't have to match your Drake's draconic essence. Okay. Each creature in the cone must make a dex save against your spell save DC, taking 8d6 damage on a fail or half as much on a success. This damage increases to 10d6 when you reach 15th level. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of 3rd level or higher to use it again. So you get a little conical fireball. I would not have minded if your choice did have to match your draconic essence.
Yeah,
I would have been okay with that.
I feel like that would be really in line with it. I do like this idea that, like, hey, so often you get told, like, you can't do this again until long rest, and they're throwing in this extra bone of, like, if you want to use a spell slot, though, you can do it.
Yeah, like, which makes cool. I buy that. Like, you can use the magical essence within you to do that. It's because it's still it's still a resource, so I'm okay with that.
Absolutely.
15th level, your bond to your Drake reaches pinnacle of its power. You get empowered bite, so the thing gets another d6 for a total of 2 extra d6 extra damage. The Drake grows to large size, and now when you ride it, it is no longer prohibited from using the flying speed. So now you get an actual dragon mount. And then when either you or the Drake takes damage while you're within 30 feet of each other, you can use your reaction to give yourself or the Drake resistance to that instance of damage. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So you get a little uncanny dodge action there.
That's 5 times.
Yep.
For those of you who keep track at home. Level 15. That's 5 times. You just be like... 5 times. Like, For those of you that like really hold on to your stuff, like no, use it. 'Cause fights are short, and you don't do a whole lot unless your DM's like, no rest for you for a really long time. 5 times is a lot.
It is a lot, and actually, what I think is the more valuable resource you're spending here is your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I would agree with that. Do Rangers get other cool reactions though? I guess you're not. You don't get to use your. Well, your Drake would be on a different reaction.
yeah, but you don't like. I mean, I know that like ranged rangers are popular, but you can totally be a melee ranger, and then
Oh
you get
yeah.
opportunity attacks.
Yep. Okay.
Um,
I
yeah.
I'm gonna give this because of this 15th level. This might be my highest grade mechanically I give. Like
Okay.
I think this is almost. I think this is A plus if not S tier because I think flying is insane and for free you could just fly. And then I do think that like basically for an entire fight you can just take half damage. Assuming there's not multiple instances of damage. I don't know. I'll put this at an A plus. And then
Okay.
RP wise, it's right there with Beastmaster. It's just targeted to
Yeah,
dragons.
it's just if you like Dargans.
Which let's be honest, we all like them.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of How to Train Your Dragon, this is the subclass for you.
You just want to RP the movie.
Yeah.
Except you don't get to fly until you're really far in.
Yeah, and that's like another sort of caveat to sort of ranking these is like
Yeah.
how many campaigns get to level 15? Not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, take all these grades with a grain of salt, but yeah, I think that
Right.
mechanically if you get to 15th level, I think that yeah, it's an A.
Yeah.
Even the 11th level is really good. Like 8d6.
It's really good.
8d6
You get free
is a
fireball.
fireball. Yeah.
Yeah. How many times do you do it?
Once.
As many times as you have third level spell slots.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will give yeah, I'll give it an A. I don't think it's quite S tier.
Yeah.
Mechanically, but I will give it an A. And then yeah, for RP, I think all these are going to end up being A's for RP, just because it depends on how you use it.
That's very subjective. It is super subjective. Like I like Beastmaster more than I like Dagrons, but
yeah, I also like Beastmaster more than I would like Dragons. And I don't know if that's just because it's more real. Like it seems like a story that could actually happen. Like, oh, this guy, you know, was raised by wolves, and one of them they didn't eat him. It was crazy. Anyway, yeah. So I think mechanically stronger than Beastmaster. Pretty evidently though. Okay.
I'll take this one if you don't mind.
Okay, go for it.
Fey Wanderer. A fey mystique surrounds you thanks to the boon of an archfey, the shining fruit you ate from a talking tree, the magic spring you swam in, or some other auspicious event. However you acquired your fey magic, you are now a Fey Wanderer, a ranger who represents both the mortal and the fey realms. As you wander the multiverse, your joyful laughter brightens the hearts of the downtrodden, and your martial prowess strikes terror in your foes. For great is the mirth of the Fae, and dreadful is their fury. Sick, sick flavor. Alright, level 3, Dreadful Strikes. You can augment your weapon strikes with mind-scarring magic drawn from the gloomy hollows of the Feywild. When you hit a creature with a weapon, you can deal an extra 1d4 psychic damage to the target, which can take this extra damage only once per turn. The extra damage increases to 1d6 when you reach 11th level in this class. Huh. Okay, there's more third level stuff though. You learn an additional spell when you reach certain levels in the class. It gives you a table here. Each spell counts as a ranger spell for you, but it doesn't count against the number of ranger spells you know, which for any of you that play a sorcerer, that is really nice.
Extra level spell.
Yeah. Third level Charm Person, 5th level Misty Step, 9th level Dispel Magic, 13th level Dimension Door, and 17th level Mislead. Man, there is not one of those spells that I wouldn't want. Um, those are all really good. You also possess a preternatural blessing from a Fey ally or a place of Fey power. Choose your blessing. Oh, these are just flavor kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There's still more for you third level fanatics. As if that didn't make it enough. Your Fey qualities give you a supernatural charm. This is otherworldly glamour. As a result, whenever you make a charisma check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier minimum of 1. In addition, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: deception, performance, or persuasion. So if you are playing... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we got to take a minute and talk about this. This is big third level stuff. First off, the dreadful strikes. The way I read this is when you hit a creature with a weapon, you can deal an extra d4 psychic damage to the target, which can take this damage only once per turn. It doesn't say you can only do this damage once per turn. So if you hit multiple targets, then you can do the extra damage multiple times a turn.
I'm going to be optimal by just like, all right, extra attack. I'm going to fire at 2 separate beings.
I mean, especially if you're up against a lot of small things, that's a big deal.
Big.
So that's, I feel like, is reasonably strong, especially for those early levels when you're really only getting 1 attack anyway. That's just an extra d4 of damage, which is pretty strong.
Real good. 2.5.
For instance, if you're using a dagger, that's a crit every time. Every time you hit, it's a crit. And when you crit, it's a double crit.
All of you dagger rangers out there.
Hey,
I guess you could do slingshot. You could do, what is it? Action, bonus action? What's that called? Dual weapon fighting?
Dual weapon fighting, yeah. Yeah. So you could do that.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
And then the other thing that I wanted to talk, because the extra spells is just kind of a whatever. They're good, but like not a lot to talk about there. They are good spells though. This thing that you add your wisdom modifier. So if you roll a character that has decent charisma and wisdom, if you guys are rolling your stats out there and you happen to get 2 18s, you're adding probably 9 plus your proficiency bonus to all, if you're proficient in it, to all your charisma checks at level 3, which is bonkers.
So, wait, how'd you get 9? Because 18s give you...
18s gives you 4, but if you're 18, you're probably taking whatever race thing 2 of
that's
one
true.
of those 2.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, this is for the...
I don't know, but you could get up to 9, like at level 3, plus your proficiency.
This is like... I feel like... Hey, we're going to play D&D. There's 4 of us, including the DM. One of us really wants to be a barbarian. The other one really wants to be a wizard. And then they're looking at you to be the face of the party, but you always wanted to be a ranger. So...
All right. I'll be a Fey Wanderer.
I'll be a Fey Wanderer. I dig it, though. I'm into this. Alright, 7th level, Beguiling Twist. The magic of the Feywild guards your mind. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. You get that anyway if you're like a elf, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a few races.
In addition, whenever you or a creature you can see within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, you can use your reaction to force a different creature you can see within 120 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. If the save fails, the target is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for 1 minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on itself on a successful save.
Seems to be a very common thread for Fey things. I think that the Warlock Fey thing gets a very similar, if not exactly the same thing. But cool, nonetheless.
Yeah. If you have a DM that's super mean and throws status effects at you like charmed or frightened, I guess honestly those are not
Those are
worst
not even
ones,
close
right?
to the worst.
Yeah. Can I interest you in stunned? Paralyzed. Oh, it's your turn? You don't get to do anything.
You get to sit there and watch your friends die.
Frightened or poisoned. Like, thanks, man, for letting me still play the game. Alright. Fey reinforcements, 11th level. The royal courts of the Feywild have blessed you with the assistance of Fey beings. You know Summon Fey, the spell. It doesn't count against the number of ranger spells you know, and you can cast it without a material component. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Whenever casting the spell, you can modify it so it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for that casting. What's the normal?
It's normally
Normal
1 hour.
duration's an hour.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah. Every DM's favorite is, spells that throw a bunch of extra stuff on the field.
Yeah. For real.
So, I mean, it's strong, but nobody at the table is going to like you.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I just, anytime you can strip concentration from something, I'm just like, oh, you just major, like, now you can do this, and yeah. Misty Wanderer. 15th level Fey Wanderer feature. You can slip in and out of the Feywild to move in a blink of an eye. You can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. You can do so a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you cast Misty Step, you can bring one willing creature you can see within 5 feet of you. That creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice within 5 feet of your destination space. Okay, so you...
That's arguably very strong, but it's like very situational. For level 15, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Isn't that just Dimension Door with a bonus action?
Sort of. It's not nearly as far, and it has to be within visual range. So you can just... But it doesn't cost you a spell slot, so it's...
Yeah.
It's honestly, like I said, it's very strong, but for 15th level, I don't know if it's so situational that maybe at 15th level it's not as strong as maybe some of the other things.
Let me ask you this. In these instances, like, you can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. So if I do this, cast that as my bonus action, would you allow me to cast another leveled spell as my action?
I think so. I think I would. And for this instance, I think I would. I don't know if every instance of something not costing a spell slot I would, but for this I would.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Free 60-foot teleport as a bonus action, and you can still...
But, I mean, as a ranger, you're not casting it. You're not a big spell caster.
That's true. Very true.
It's not like you're like, yes, and now fireball. It's like, well, I did that. Now I'm going to shoot my bow.
I'm already playing the face ranger, so might as well make it real weird.
So this one, I think mechanically it's very situational, and whenever things are situational, I think that makes them less strong in most situations.
Yeah, that 7th level thing is just like your entire thing is contingent upon.
Yeah, it's on your DM throwing things at you that are going to charm and or frighten you.
Yeah.
So if you don't get any of those, then your entire 7th level thing is for naught. Yeah. As far as RP, how would you RP this though? You kind of already mentioned we need a face of the party, and I want to play a ranger. That's cool.
I think that's super cool. But I'm also the type of, like, if I'm playing a video game, it's like I'm gonna put all my points into the charisma stuff because but I also want to hit things hard. So
yeah. So I think if I were going to RP this, like, it might be similar to like Saturn's story, where he was abandoned in the Feywild, and eventually, like, something within the Fey helps you or assists you in some way.
Yeah.
Trains you how to survive in the Feywild, especially as a ranger, like training you how to survive in the Feywild. Like, these are the plants you can eat. These are the plants you can't eat. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I think,
yeah, I don't know. I think this one actually is tougher to RP unless you are doing a campaign that is in the Fey realm. Like getting these little bonuses at higher levels if you're not in the Fey realm is
yeah,
definitely more of a reach
yeah,
than some of these other subclasses. So
yeah. I
there,
think you're
I've
just
already broken my own thing about how they're all going to be A's for RP because I think this one is harder to RP.
well, you're kind of locking yourself into like with Beastmaster or Drake Warden. Like you could do that in
Any setting,
kind of
really.
any setting, any background, any context. This is like, now I want to do a Fey Ranger. It's like you could be a Gloom. I mean, you're not precluded from doing Gloomstalker or Horizon Walker. Like I came from the Fey and I am this Horizon Walker Ranger. But if you're going to be a Fey Wanderer, you're probably really locked into some kind of Fey involvement.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to think if there's like a way you can reskin it, and I guess there is, but the like summon Fey, the spell is like it would be an effort to reskin everything, right?
yeah, this
Especially
really
with
does
the
feel like a.
charmed frightened thing.
This feels like a Warlock subclass.
I mean, it is. There is a
Yeah.
warlock subclass that is the archfey. So
This really does feel like a Warlock or a sorcerer subclass.
yeah, some kind of yeah. I get that. Um,
I think it's getting a B minus for mechanics, and then maybe a B for RP. I have to
yeah,
admit, subjectively, face stuff has never like super interested me, but
I kind of like the Fey stuff, but this is like so specific that I would, if I were not in a campaign where I was in the Fey realm, like I
yeah,
said, I think that this would be a reach for me. Like
yeah,
if I wanted to RP this sort of depth into the Fey, I I wouldn't even want to do it in a campaign that wasn't frequently in the Fey realm, if not always.
yeah.
So yeah, I think the Fey Wanderer for me, mechanically, like the Summon Fey thing is pretty strong at 11. The
Yeah.
Misty Step thing is strong but situational. I don't think it's stronger. I definitely don't think it's stronger than Drake Warden. I
Yeah.
don't think that it's stronger than Beastmaster with the Tasha's rules. So I'm gonna put this at
Hmm.
a C minus. And as far as RP, I think it's like a B minus because it's so
Yeah.
heavily situational. But if you were in that situation, great, it's awesome.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
You want to take the Gloomstalker as well?
Sure. Gloomstalkers are at home in the darkest places. Deep under the earth, in gloomy alleyways, in primeval forests, and wherever else the light dims. Most folk enter such places with trepidation, but a Gloomstalker ventures boldly into the darkness seeking to ambush threats before they can reach the broader world. Such rangers are often found in the Underdark, but they will go to any place where evil lurks in the shadows. Um, Third level, Gloomstalker Magic. At third level, you earn an additional spell when you reach certain levels in this class. Same thing as the last one. It doesn't count against the number of spells you know. Third, Disguise Self. Fifth, Rope Trick. I love that spell. Ninth, Fear. 13th, Greater Invisibility. And 17th, Seeming. I don't love those spells as much as the Fey Wanderer ones. Like, there
I don't
wasn't
know.
a
Like
single.
definitely Fear. I don't think is maybe as
Yeah,
strong as the other ones. Rope Trick I don't think is as strong, but it's fun.
it is fun.
But Disguise Self, Greater Invisibility is
Yeah.
very strong, and Seeming is very situational. So yeah, I don't think that they're probably quite as strong as the Fey ones.
Dread Ambusher. At third level, you master the art of the ambush. You give yourself a bonus to your initiative rolls equal to your wisdom modifier. Okay, starting earlier is good. At the start of your first turn of each combat, your walking speed increases 10 feet, which lasts until the end of that turn. If you take the attack action that turn, you can make one additional weapon attack as a part of that action. If that attack hits, the target takes an additional 1d8 damage of the weapon's damage type. That's freaking good.
Yeah, this is why everyone's like the consensus is that Gloomstalker is the strongest, is because at third level you get such a big deal. An extra
Plus,
attack,
like,
and if it hits, it's an extra D8. That's very, very strong.
yeah. Umbral Sight. At third level, you gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision from your race, its range increases by 30 feet. You're also adept at evading creatures that rely on dark vision. While in darkness, you are invisible to any creature that relies on dark vision to see you in that darkness. You are
Situational, but very
invisible.
strong.
Are creatures considered like, let's say I don't have dark vision? Is a creature considered invisible?
I don't think. Well, it depends on how you rule it, I guess. Because if they are heavily obscured, then they are hidden. I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't think there's much of a difference between hidden and invisible mechanically. Unless. No, I don't think
Yeah.
it really is. So.
Huh.
It's weird that it says invisible. But yeah, that makes it very. I guess the difference is if you're hidden, you're kind of thought to be not moving too much.
Yeah.
Whereas invisible, you can move around, and I mean they can still hear you, I guess. But yeah, I think that hidden and invisible are very, very similar. But it is weird that they say invisible instead of hidden. Anyway.
Iron Mind. By 7th level, you have honed your ability to resist the mind-altering powers of your prey. You gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. If you already have this proficiency, you instead gain proficiency in intelligence or charisma saving throws, your choice. What are the proficiencies for hunters?
What is it? Is it
They get strength and dex.
wisdom? No, it's not wisdom. It's strength and dex.
So weird. Alright. Stalker's Flurry. It's interesting. Like, I keep honing in on these 7th level abilities. They've been kind of hit or miss. Stalker's Flurry. At 11th level, you learn to attack with such unexpected speed that you can turn a miss into another strike. Once on each of your turns, when you miss with a weapon attack, you can make another weapon attack as a part of the same action. Sheesh.
I mean, it's good, but like,
Yeah.
the goal is to not miss.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. Like, if you're rolling well, it's actually not helping you at all.
Suboptimal.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Shadowy Dodge. Starting at 15th level, you can dodge in unforeseen ways with wisps of supernatural shadow around you. Whenever a creature makes an attack roll against you and doesn't have advantage on the roll, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on it. You must use this feature before you know the outcome of the roll.
That feels pretty weak for level 15. Oh, you get disadvantage.
There's no limit to it. Is it? Oh, but it's a reaction.
So yeah, again, yeah, I mean, I guess you're not using your reaction for a ton as a ranger, especially if you're a ranged ranger. So yeah,
I feel like
worth it to do that, but
if subclasses have like, hey, for balance purposes, we're going to do point buy for developing these subclasses. Whoever wrote Gloomstalker put all of the points in level 3.
Yeah. And
which isn't bad.
I mean, it's great, really, because like I said, how many campaigns get to level 15? Not many.
Yeah.
I mean, how many campaigns get to level 11? Not many.
Yeah.
If you can get to level 7, you're real strong. You have proficiency in 3 types of saving throws. You get extra attack on your first round, and that extra attack does an extra bunch of damage. You're invisible in darkness, like.
Yeah. And like, combat never really goes longer than 3 or 4 rounds anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Especially at those low levels.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, mechanically, this one I think is very, very strong. I would give this one an A mechanically. Actually, I would give this an A plus. This may be S tier mechanically.
It's so good at level 3, but the rest of it really falls off. So I want to be like A minus. It's so good at level 3, it like allows it to still be in that like A class, but like, I don't know, man. I'll give it an A.
Certainly the 11th level, like we already kind of said, is like if you're rolling well, it does literally nothing. And
Yeah.
then the level 15 thing is like, oh, you get disadvantage as my reaction.
What I
That's not
think,
great.
like,
Because
since we're trying to take, yeah,
at 15th level, the things you're fighting, the pluses that they have, they're going to have to roll like a 2 or a 3 to miss you most of the time.
like we wanted to take like an RP, like everybody does tier lists, and we wanted to take like an RP slant on a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm a little bit disappointed in like how the RP translates to the mechanical element of the subclass for this. Like if I were to be like, here's the description of the flavor of Gloomstalker, and you're like, okay, I've got an idea in it. And I told you this is the 3rd level mechanics, and you're like, sick. And I was like, I am going to describe, like, I'm going to give you the names of the 7th, 11th, and 15th level abilities, but I'm not going to give you the mechanics.
Okay.
I feel like, okay, Iron Mind, okay, you might be able to get that. But if I was like Stalker's Flurry and Shadowy Dodge, and I was like, that's your 11th and 15th level thing, respectively, I would not have said that's what's going to happen if I knew the name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Stalker's Flurry sounds like well, it sounds like a thing that I think we're going to come up to later, but it sounds like you're getting more attacks in some fashion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shadowy Dodge sounds like, I mean, I guess it does sound like a either disadvantage thing or a half damage thing, and they did the disadvantage.
I just think like there's that Way of the Shadow Monk. Is that what it's called?
That is one of them.
I can't remember. And then there's the sorcerer that's like the.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just kind of think that like this is like the shadow, edgy, dark hunter, and some of these things I feel like, well, that doesn't feel like that. Or like the RP and mechanic side, I just don't feel like are 1-to-1.
Yeah, I kind of see that, and I like, as far as RP goes, this sounds like a thing that it sounds more like a rogue, right? Something that
Yes.
stays in the shadows and does its all of its work from not being seen in darkness.
But the only advantage you get to hanging out in the shadows, which is like your whole stick, is the dark vision thing, like umbral sight, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you're invisible to any creatures that rely on dark vision to see you, so that's
Yeah.
pretty strong.
It is really strong. I just wish like I'm a
Which
ranger and
is-
I'm associated with the darkness. I want to do more shadowy shiz.
Yeah, like there's a couple of them, like the shadow, like a shadow step or something would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
The what's weird is the umbral sight thing, that you are invisible to creatures in darkness, is sort of redundant with shadowy dodge, right? Because most of the things are going to rely on dark vision to see you. Not all things, but most of the things. And if you're already invisible to them, they already have disadvantage.
Right.
And you can't, like, double disadvantage in 5e does nothing.
Yeah. Super disadvantage. It's just the same.
It's the same, yeah. So yeah, the at 3 and 7, I think it's very strong. At 11, it's like starting to fall off, and then at 15, it's like, wait, what? This is what I get at 15?
What? Yeah. For real.
So, I mean, mechanically, I think that the 3 and 7 is still strong enough to give this an A.
Yeah, I agree.
And then RP-wise, I think that this is better RP than the Fey Wanderer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's less limiting, and as far as the way that it can be done, there's less reskinning that you have to do.
Right.
But I still don't like it as much as the Beastmaster.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Which again, these are kind of subjective.
100% subjective.
Yeah. If you're really into this like forest ninja kind of thing, then yeah, Gloomstalker's probably going to appeal to you more than the Beastmaster. But
yeah, I could see RPing it as like I shoot from the shadows. But that's like, I think the reason I don't like this one as RP as much is because almost all of these things, all these subclass features are combat based. So there's very
Yeah.
little there's very little RP stuff that is apparent.
Yeah.
Whereas with Beastmaster, you're like, oh, I've got an animal with me at all times. As Dragon guy is like, I can summon a dragon guy to hang out and talk to at all times.
Yeah.
And this one it's like everything, all the mechanics are based on. It seems like they're all based on advantages for combat. Like you could argue that the invisible in the dark is not, but that's still like ability check thing, and it's not necessarily a social interaction.
They give you a couple of spells that are kind of like you get disguise self and steaming.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't
But
know.
like, I don't want to base my RP off of the spells I take.
Yeah, I agree.
It
would be cool if there was.
I can use it backwards. Like I can base the spells I take off of my RP, but I don't want to base the RP off of the spells I have to take.
Like, give this person like a, hey, you can add your wisdom modifier to your stealth or sleight of hand or whatever.
Yeah, so. I think for RP, I give this one a B.
Yeah,
which is better than I gave the Fey Warden. So,
what I want this to be in my mind, RP is an A, but I feel like none of these abilities like line up with that except for level 3. So.
Yeah.
I want to play Batman.
Yeah.
This guy is not Batman. Batman's totally a ranger. But
yeah, if they gave you like a when making a intimidation check, you can add your dexterity modifier. That would be a thing, right?
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing to be able to throw into the RP, but they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So Nothing.
All
right. We got 4 more to go. This is gonna be a long one.
Do you want to split this into 2?
Yeah, let's do that because this is already we're already over an hour. So
yeah,
we will. So thanks for chatting with me. Then we'll stop it there, and then we will come back for Horizon Walker, Hunter, Monster Slayer, and Swarmkeeper next time. So we'll see you then
on Dragon Ball Z.
Bye.
Bye. That sounds good.